What if you could go back in time and watch the legendary Billie Holiday perform? Mosaic Theater is bringing that immersive nightclub experience to DC. Its new play about the iconic singer has a live band and cocktails to transport you to 1950s Philly. Lady Day runs at Mosaic Theater September 5th through October 6th at the Atlas Performing Arts Center. Get tickets at mosaictheater.org.
Today on CityCast DC, we are back with another monthly guide of things to do, places to go, and tips to follow to lead your ideal DC life this September. Like, you have to come to Art All Night. We are going to be there alongside our sponsors, District Bridges, on September 27th. Stick around until the end of the episode for more information on that. But first, CityCast's Julia Karen and Ash Durbin are here with me, and a full list of September recommendations just for you. Today is Tuesday, September 3rd. I'm Michael Schaefer, and here's what DC is talking about. Hey, Julia.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Ash.
Hey.
All right, so for people who haven't heard this before, we do this episode at the beginning of every month, and as you may have noticed, your calendar switched. It is now September. Labor Day's over.
I can't believe it's September already.
That's right.
Happy fall. Doesn't feel that way.
I know.
But we're here to help you avoid FOMO. We're here to complement all the more in-depth newsy and feature episodes we do throughout the rest of the month. So September. What do you guys do every September?
Ooh. So one thing I do every September is I basically try to will it to become fall by going apple picking. I feel like that's a very basic answer, right? But who among us has not gone to Butler's Orchard sometime in September and picked apples and gone on the hay rides and done fun stuff on a farm? Because that's like peak fall for me, peak September.
I haven't done that forever, honestly.
Butler's Orchard is the place that I grew up going to. However, I've gone to Showalter's in Virginia. It's, I think, like a hour and a half drive way out there. They, in addition to having like apples, have other fruit. I believe they have strawberries and blueberries, and it's like tail end of blueberry season, right? So like last chance gasp if you want to get that kind of fresh fruit.
Do you guys like apple picking?
I think there is something to be said about like going and finding your own fruit and deciding which things you want to cook with. Like my mom is big into pie baking and she makes a killer apple pie, although I'm actually not a huge apple pie fan, but I think hers is the best. So going and picking apples and hanging out with friends and using it as an excuse to just hang out with them, that is my vibe for apple picking generally. Also, like when I was a kid, it was great.
The apples that don't get given to Ma Karen, what do you do with those?
I eat them.
Just
Straight
eat
up.
them. You don't cook them?
Little peanut butter. Sometimes instead of doing like bananas Foster, which is a really easy dessert to make, you get a cast iron pan, you add a little butter and a little brown sugar. I will make basically like an apples Foster. So saute some apples in that, a little sea salt, a little vanilla ice cream. It's kind of like the inside of a pie, but like without the crust, you know?
Do you light it on fire?
No, because my smoke detectors in my apartment would go off, and I think the rest of the residents here would be big bad.
What kind of apples are they? Is it like the yummy Macintosh style, or is it like the nasty, like...
I feel like Red Delicious is like what people think of when they think of apples, and I find Red Delicious to be gross.
Yeah, Red Delicious suck.
No, sometimes they have Granny Smith apples. Sometimes they have Macintosh apples. There's a ton of variety. Basically, almost anything that you can find, weirdly enough, at your farmer's market, you can probably find when you go apple picking, depending on the farm.
So I have a friend who objects on principle to apple picking, that somehow these farmers have gulled us into paying them in order to do their labor.
I mean, sure.
But I actually my kids are now like kind of aged out of apple picking, but I always kind of enjoyed it.
Right.
And the apples are pretty good. But here's my question as a like apple farming kind of person. It's early September now. DC, this region stays pretty hot for a long time. Are there actually apple? Like, when is it reasonable to go and expect you can eat something you pull off a tree?
So technically apples are in season right now. Like if you go to your farmer's market, they have fresh apples in stock. So August, September, even going into October. I think once you hit November, it's kind of probably maybe slim pickings, depending on how hot or cold it is. I would bet that if you go a little later in September, you might be getting maybe a little fresher apples, but that's just me. I think if you went now, like it's the first week of September, you would be fine.
I'm glad to see you like embracing autumnalness because September's it's all like March where like somehow you think of it as spring because the solstice happens and stuff, but it's always cold and kind of a drag. And September is similarly like you might have dreams of like doing fall stuff and coming home with rosy cheeks, but it's you're usually wearing cargo shorts.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm trying, and I usually try to just sort of embrace that. Like this summer, for a lot of the summer, it's too hot to sit on my back deck, but we could do it in September. So it's weirdly like I try to treat September like tolerable summer.
Yeah, no, I feel. I did the due diligence of looking up like average temperatures in September in DC, and it's high of 81 average and low of 59 average, which I think on paper sounds incredible if that was what it was every day.
Yeah.
But what that means is like, I think more often than not, it's like half the days will be 98 degrees and half the days will be 70 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, have you all seen the flow chart where it basically has the DMV has 12 seasons? We are now in prime false fall territory.
Right. I think it's kind of nice though because like, as I think I said this on the August guide, but like end of summer, August, I kind of start getting them winter scaries.
Ooh, boy.
Where I start getting scared about the cold coming out. And because our weather is so crazy, like you kind of get to September and you're like, oh wait, like it's still summer. And then you hit October and you're like, it's not really cold. And then you hit November and it's like 80 degrees on Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
So I like to keep that in mind. My every September is kind of a new one for me. Starting last year, I'm trying to go to Renfest every September, man.
Oh my God.
It starts in August. I think it's way too hot to be out in your chainmail in August.
Is that what you wear?
You can.
I'm building towards that. It's an expensive set, but
I bet.
But piece by piece.
You might need to reschedule that Renfest for November if you're going to be walking around in that.
It does run through October, so you can go then. But I think September is perfect if you can find the perfect, like, 75-degree day to go out. Still nice enough to be outside all day. Not grossly hot in your full metal plate outfit, if that's what you're doing. If it's a hotter day, you can kind of go the more surfish route and wear more of a workman's medieval garb. I just think it's great. It kind of touches on that fall and the summer in that like you're outside drinking and like seeing an event and getting, a hot dog on a stick or whatever it is, or mutton or whatever.
So like, I know that this is in Maryland generally, but like where in Maryland and like what are the dates for this thing? Yeah,
so it's in Crownsville, Maryland, which is maybe 45 minutes from DC proper. September dates specifically, I mean, it's every weekend in September. It's already sold out for the first couple weekends, but they still have tickets for the 14th, the 15th, the 21st, the 22nd, the 28th, and the 29th, and then it runs through October as well.
What if you show up with chainmail and just walk in? Will they stop you?
Yeah, I'm sure you can pretend you're just, you really have to put on the accent and milord and milady everybody, but maybe you can convince them that you're a worker. It's like $30, but I think $30 well spent to see some guys joust.
How much is that in gold doubloons?
Oh, the inflation rate on the doubloons has gone crazy. I don't know if you've heard,
right?
But
All right, I will never go to that.
Why not, dude?
I think I'm not that into the Renaissance.
Fair. You don't like Shakespeare? You don't like
it's fine.
Pheasant meat or whatever?
Turkey legs.
Not that much.
Turkey legs.
But let me say, because I wanted to start talking about like specific other stuff that's happening this month. And one historical epoch I am into is like the Belle Epoque, the like late 19th century Paris, and imagining I'm hanging around with impressionists and cooking up cool ideas. And there is a show, Paris 1874, The Impressionist Moment, which is sort of what I'd like to go back in time to. And it's at the National Gallery, opens September 8th. And it's like a redoing of a legendary exhibit from Paris in 1874. And it's got all your impressionist heartthrobs, Monet, Renoir, Cézanne, etc. But I kind of like, I have a thing I used to do when my kids were little. We would go to the National Gallery. And if you grow up in D.C., your parents probably took you there. And they
Oh, yeah.
probably made the terrible mistake of like trying to walk too many rooms.
Yes.
And your little kid legs couldn't take it. And you then started to hate the museum. So I used to do this thing with my kids when they were little of like, we will pick one room and we'll just like look at the paintings in that room. We'll do it. And then we'll like go down and get some gelato in the basement. And I always gravitated towards the rooms of like historical moments I would like to be in. So I'm really pumped for this show.
And what is it about that era that
Yeah.
that makes you want to live then?
Because a lot of water lilies and fruit, if I'm remembering my Monet and Cezanne correctly.
I'm more into the city pictures, but I think it's
Okay.
because it was like sort of the, you know, the birth of like bougie urban culture. And it's when, in Paris at least, it's when they knocked down huge chunks of the city and put up the beautiful city that we know now. So it's that, because I'm, you know, no offense to water lilies, but I'm not that into them either.
Mayor Muriel Bowser's Art All Night is right around the corner, and the nonprofit District Bridges is taking part with 5 neighborhood events, each with its own theme, like The Art of Drag in Logan Circle, or Black Broadway and Beyond on U Street. Our whole CityCast DC team will have a booth at the Mount Pleasant location, alongside local artists, musicians, and business specials. So come hang out with us. It's all happening Friday, September 27th and Saturday, September 28th. Check out districtbridges.org/events for all the details.
What else is on your guys' September calendar?
Mine is a little bit more basic, but I love H Street Festival, dude.
Ooh.
They won Washington City Piper's Best Neighborhood Festival. And yeah, I just, you know, even looking up, you know, what would be going on, they didn't even have that much like information on like vendors or who's going to be playing the music for this year. But that's not really what it's about for me. I just like walking down that strip. You know, you have to assume it'll be a somewhat nice day with the sun out. It's on September 21st. And just walking around, getting like, you know, a little juice mixed with alcohol from someone out there and just enjoying the music, maybe getting a little grub and just, you know, getting a little loose.
Will you explain, like, what is the festival? Because, you know, you have, I mean, a lot of people sort of associate street festivals with, like, the days when there would be, like, an ethnic neighborhood. So this is the neighborhood where all the Italian people live, and they're going to, you know, throw a festival. In this case, it's a neighborhood that's, like, turned over. The H Street itself has, the stores and so on have turned over pretty dramatically.
Totally.
And it is already a street of like bougie food and drink amenities. So what happens that's different at the festival? Is there music? Are there booths? And what do the booths sell?
I think there's a nice mixture of all things. Last time I walked down it, it's like you walk down and you can kind of get your more expensive fares from the restaurants or whatever. Then there's, you know, meats being grilled. There's, you know, people selling alcoholic beverages in plastic bottles, and you don't really know what the mixture is, but you're going to drink it anyway. And then you walk down, and as you get to the end of H Street, that's where like the music really starts to wind up.
Yeah.
And there's like go-go bands, and it kind of feels like you start at one end and then you walk down and you kind of get the whole experience, and then at the end of the tunnel maybe you're a little bit more loose, and that's when the music starts, and it's a fun experience. I love it. And then last time I went, I just remember getting to the end and the go-go band was playing 2 of my favorite go-go covers back to back. And I was like, okay, this festival is
Nice.
Incredible stuff. Yeah, so definitely check out H Street Festival. It's happening all day September 21st. So I would definitely check it out.
Julia, what's on your September calendar?
Okay, so I'm actually gone almost every weekend this September.
What's on your September weekday calendar?
I know. So before I leave, I did not know that this existed. And it's the only weekend that I'm free in September. And now I have to go. Did you guys know DC has a state fair?
I did know that.
You did? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. I know. People are gonna be up in arms over it calling it the state fair, but
This is not like a vintage old-fashioned state fair. It's only
No.
like 10 or 15 years old or something. And
that's correct.
and it dates from, you know, it's part of an effort to do state things in the hopes that might lead to statehood.
Yes. Like, I don't know that we're going to turn into like the Minnesota State Fair. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. But it's September 7th, 2024. It's at Franklin Park. It basically runs the entire day, which is awesome. There's live music, there's demonstrations, there are educational workshops. They currently don't have a list of vendors similar to H Street Fest right now, but they also have one thing that I find really interesting is that they have contests. The registration for those contests is closed, but some of those contests in the agricultural section, best compost, wild.
Interesting.
Best culinary contest. There's best cakes, like best chocolate cake, best vegan cake, best gluten-free, best chili. They have one with meat and vegetarian. Best ceramics. There's pie contests, best pie and show. Love that. There's also kids competition, so like kids art. There's kids best drawing, painting, and kids best slime.
Ooh.
So I don't know how that's gonna work out. But go for the kids, win the slime. Can you imagine if you lose best slime? I'd be distraught. But I'm interested to see kind of what DC puts together in terms of like what they think a state fair, at least for DC, looks like. Again, that's September 7th, 10 to 5 p.m., Franklin Park. I will be there.
September, definitely a festival month in DC.
Oh, yeah.
Jazz Fest, H Street Fest, Ren Fest, State Fair.
So one other thing I'm going to do in September, which sort of dovetails is like a tip for how to live your best lives in DC, is there's a show of works by Ralph Steadman, who was the artist, illustrator. Maybe you know him from like Hunter S. Thompson books, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, these sort of like caricatured, somewhat grotesque figures. And there's a show of his work at the American University Museum, which is right on Massachusetts Avenue across from the AU campus.
That's the Katzen Art Center?
Yes, that's the Katzen Art Center, and opens September 7th. My tip, and it's weird, I literally grew up just, feet from the AU campus. That museum obviously is newer than that, but I never really gave it any thought to that museum because I thought like, oh, we're in Washington. It's got these, famous museums. Who needs some college museum? It's actually really good, and they have really cool, interesting shows. So it's sort of if you are looking around for stuff to do, it's a good calendar to check in with.
Nice. I've never been there. I kind of struggled looking for a tip, but it does kind of stay on that museum track. And, maybe this is not statistically backed, but I kind of feel like September, people are back in school. All of the school trips to DC you would not think they would be now. So museums will be less busy, I imagine. So any touristy DC stuff, I think early September and all of September might be a good time to do that. And just kind of that general, like, if there's stuff that you want to do that's kind of generally crowded, September might be a good time to do that. If you want to go to the beach in, like, Delaware or surrounding D.C., September might be a good time, though everybody might be having that thought.
That's part of why I'm not going to be here in September is I'm sneaking away to Bethany Beach with my friends and my cousins for a week or so to get away.
So if you want to have a Julia Caron free museum experience,
Yes.
September is your month.
Exactly. Yeah. My tip is a little bit more serious. Recently, there have been new COVID vaccines for the new strain. They just came out. I cannot stress enough, guys. Please, please, please register to get your flu and COVID shots. You can get them all in one go. Get them in your non-dominant arm so that your arm isn't like limp by the end of the day and doesn't ache. You can sign up for it at like your local CVS, your local Walgreens. Any local pharmacy should have them. Pick a date, pick a time, and please get vaccinated. COVID is still, we had a huge uptick this summer and it was not fun. So please get vaccinated.
Totally.
Now's the time.
And if you're going to the Ren Fest, get that bubonic plague shot.
That one too. Crucial.
And register to vote too. That's the other
Yes.
little bit of September fall registration that is probably a good idea. In DC, you can walk right up and do it, but it's a good thing to do.
Totally.
All right, one more September tip, but it's actually an every month of the year tip, which is to really get ahead on planning out your life. Become a CityCast member.
Yeah.
Do it.
All members get a special email every Monday with a curated list of upcoming events. $8 a month covers that, ad-free listening, and first dibs on our live events.
You can go to membership.citycast.fm to sign up. It's $8, and we appreciate your support.
Thank you, Ash and Julia. Thanks for being here. Good to see you guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Later.
And listener, don't go anywhere. In just a second, CityCast Priyanka Tilve is sitting down with our sponsor, District Bridges, for the full scoop on performances, vendors, and discounts at this year's Art All Night. That's happening September 27th and 28th in neighborhoods all across the city.
Hey, I'm Priyanka Tove here with Olivia Osborne from District Bridges. Olivia, thanks for being here. Thanks for having me. So I know that DC Art All Night happens every year in September, right? What is this event all about?
So Art All Night, it's a 2-day festival. It's hosted by Mayor Muriel Bowser, and it takes place on the last Friday and Saturday of September. And it's in neighborhoods across all 8 wards. It's free to attend, and it's open to the public, and it's focusing on celebrating the performing and visual arts, as well as local businesses.
That's really cool. I feel like that side of the city culture doesn't get as much love. So I love that we're celebrating it. You said the last Friday and Saturday. So what's that, September 27th and 28th?
Yep, the 27th and the 28th.
Okay, cool. And so what is special about District Bridges' part in this? What are your all-night events all about?
So District Bridges is running 5 different Art All Night events in 5 different neighborhoods, and they each have their own unique theme, which we're super excited about. So that's 20 hours of entertainment, hundreds of local artists, live music, art installations, main stage performances, local business specials, all kinds of fun stuff. Friday, September 27th, we're doing the Faces of Mount Pleasant, and that's highlighting talented local artists that make Mount Pleasant a vibrant community and a great place to live, as well as Cleveland Park Curiosities. I will personally be there celebrating everything weird and wonderful. So think vaudeville, street performers, fortune tellers, snake charmers, and more, all kinds of fun stuff. Saturday, September 28th, we are doing our first ever Lower Georgia Avenue Art All Night, and that is Collage Avenue. We're kind of using collage as a metaphor to explore how diversity creates a community, as well as Black Broadway and beyond. That's U Street Art All Night, and that explores U Street as the center of African-American art in past, present, and future. And lastly, we're doing the Art of Drag Logan Circle Art All Night. It is a celebration of one of DC's legacy LGBTQ nightlife corridors, and we're finishing it off with a massive outdoor drag and dance party in Logan Circle Park from 6 to 11. So we're going to be going very late. It'll be an absolutely amazing time with art installations, DJs, all kinds of fun, amazing things.
Olivia, these sound so creative. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, we really tried to make sure that for each of these events, that the programming was not only bespoke to DC, but that it was also bespoke to each of the vibrant neighborhoods that we serve.
Yeah, really highlighting those differences and the creativity. That's amazing. How can folks get involved?
You can go to our website. That's districtbridges.org/events. And there you'll find event listings for all 5 events. And those include things like sign-up sheets to be a vendor, business, sponsor, as well as volunteer opportunities for all 5 events.
Okay, amazing. Well, this has been a great addition to our guide for September. And actually, our CityCast team, we're going to be at the Faces of Mount Pleasant stand on Friday the 27th. So yeah, psyched.
Amazing. Yeah, we're very excited to have you. And thank you so much for promoting our events. We are so thrilled to be doing 5 events this year.
Yeah. Olivia, thanks for being here. Again, check out districtbridges.org/events to learn more. We'll have that link in our show notes as well. So you're just a click away. Thanks for listening.
And that is all for today here on CityCast DC. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell everyone who you see at whatever hot September event you decide to hit? We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.